Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Show with Cameron Grand. I am your host, Cameron Grand, and as a reminder, I'm not a therapist. I'm just somebody going on his own mental health journey, trying to give you guys little tips and tricks that you guys can try. As always, make sure you advocate for yourself because sometimes things that work for me may not work for you. But I do encourage you to try because sometimes things that we don't think will work can surprise us. Today is going to be kind of the wrap up of season three. I know I can't believe we're almost done with season three already. I have one more episode I think I want to show, but I before I switch to season four, as you can see if you're watching this behind me, I've started creating a backdrop that I'm hoping that by the time season four shows up, which will be in May, that I have been able to execute it and troubleshoot the problems I'm having just with the setup I'm trying to make. It's just one of those things that come into play when you want to look like a lot more organized with the setup, and then you realize, oh, you're not that technically savvy when it comes to construction, and I don't want to do something that will be worse overall for the state of my apartment. Like I know we're dipping into territory that I am not entirely comfortable exploring without help of somebody who is better at home projects than I am. Because I can do a lot of troubleshooting, I can assemble things with instructions, but I don't know weight capacities and what things would would prove too heavy for what a drywall can handle. I'm trying to keep those things in mind, but sometimes I just learned that just because you did something does not mean something's going to stick. And so I have to figure out other ways to do it. But hopefully, it won't be that long to fix it. But that was just me telling you that I'm working on a new setup, and I'm hoping that by the time I launch season four, I will either have troubleshooted a way of doing it better. Because what behind me that you're seeing that black curtain is just a way to trap in sound, so I can do a more professional audio at least in my apartment. And I'll set up for those if I can't do my full thing because I have a little props, and the chair you're seeing is something that is also going to be at play when I do launch it for you because I have a lot of the tools assembled. It's just about executing the vision. So with that, I wanted to get into this episode. I'm shooting this on Easter. So if you celebrate Easter or you just had a wonderful Sunday, thank you for listening to this the following day. I appreciate it. This is a show that is a podcast, but it airs in the Twin Cities on 94.1 Frog Town Radio every Monday at 5 p.m. If you're in the area, they do also have an app. But yeah, I'm really grateful that I've been doing it for them for so long, and they've been patient with me when things aren't going as I would like them to. It's a learning curve, and I'm trying to boost just my overall approach to anything creative, and I hope that you guys are seeing that. I really do. So with that, something that I wanted to talk about with season four of what I wanted to tackle is I think I want to go back into what I was doing in season one or beginning of season two, which is just that I'm gonna start doing once a month it's this, once a month it's this, once a month it's this. So we have four different types of things, all tackling DBT things, just because it's easier for me and I like it, and also I really do like Mom. I think I'm going to continue watching it for this podcast. Maybe I'll break it down better of the episode because I can't share it with you as much. Maybe quote some of my favorite lines and just why these certain parts hit with me so much. The reason why I want to do that is because it is a show that deals with a lot of things that I'm tackling in my own life. Now, while I don't have any kind of AA issues, I do fall in the other category of dealing with the trauma of having family who is in that kind of thing. It's because people, at least in Mom, think AA is just alcohol, but it also leads into drug use and stuff like that. And that's why I want to tackle that show more, because it's a way of tackling a hard subject through humor and humanity and just trying to learn, well, just enjoying yourself. Because a lot of times people think that when you're learning it's an issue, and sometimes when you're learning you're just bettering yourself, and you can better yourself through humor, and just turning yourself off sometimes, because sometimes, especially because I'm in college and I'm trying to think about what my next steps are because I only have about a year left. I'm trying to figure out, oh, what is the next step for Cameron? How do I want to approach my life once I'm out of college? I'm going to school for visual effects and CGI, but I went to learn the language, but if I want to tackle that as a job, really, I need to double down on my portfolio and adjust how I spend the time after my main job. Because if I don't pivot that, I'm never going to actually get into the field because I need to build a portfolio for it. And also, there are a lot of tools that I'm learning that until I get hired by a studio, I won't really be able to use because they're super expensive, even for an individual. Because I'm sorry, if you think that you are poor, but you can afford a $6,000 program every year without like the studio like throwing you in there with a group of people using it, I think that's bonkers. And maybe somewhere down the line, if I'm not sought after, it won't be a huge issue. But I'm just like, dang, that's a lot of money for one program, and you have to learn a lot roster of like 10 so far. So it, the bills are like adding up. So it's like I need to make sure I'm learning budget better, and I'm also I need to focus more on my health, because while wanting to do things is important in your life, especially if you like want to tackle those, and I'm about to do something. If you're watching, that might shock you because I thought I already turned them on, which is I have underlighting, and I'm gonna turn it on now, so it's gonna brighten me up a little bit more. But I wanted to warn you so you weren't shocked. But my health is something that I want to tackle in the next 6 months, for my job, but also for myself, because I really want to be at a healthier state when I turn 30, because I am about to approach my 30th birthday. And I know with this backwards baseball cap and baby face, you think you must be like at least 19. And I was like, no, I'm a little older than that, but thank you for thinking it. I appreciate your sensitivity, or your humoring me of my comedy right now. But part of that is like dipping away from just mental health, because I think the thing that I get lost in sometimes is focusing only on mental health because it's the thing that stops me the most. Like today, happy Easter again, because I didn't even realize that it was a holiday when I was like, we can go on a walk, we can start somewhere small and then build up over time so we can change. And then, like, knowing that it's okay to be hungry. And that's a emotion and feeling that I'm going to try to tap into to know what I can do to combat hunger pains, because as a child that meant something different to me, and I don't want that to play a part in my life anymore, because that's usually how I fail, is because I feel like I'm tapping into a state of being in my body that is not right, that will only lead to bad things. And I need to dive into why I feel that is, rather than accepting those emotions as fact. And that's kind of a checking the facts sometimes. Like, that's a DBT policy. Sometimes we get these impressions about ourselves that we have from early childhood, and then we wake. There are core parts of us that we aren't always aware of, and then as we dive more into how our brains work, we're like, oh, this is an issue that I probably should tackle. I haven't been because I'm scared, but if I don't tackle it, it's not going to get better, and I want to be better. And that's the key. So that's more this will be. I think because I have a plan for what I want to do on Gran Central, that when season 4 launches, I'm going to take the first 3 seasons and put them on their own channel again, only because I have video ideas of what I want to do for Show Up with Camron Gran that I think are more akin to focusing in on yourself, focusing in on how to betterment. And whereas I want Grand Central to be more where I explore my creativity and my acting and my storytelling abilities, doing like I want to do essays and like really tackle into like certain parts of pop culture. I think it's called commentary YouTube is what it's referred to as, but like I know a lot of things about celebrities just because I follow movies so closely, and if I love an actor, I usually dive into their career a little bit, and I just want to do more of that kind of stuff, just because it makes me know that I am a lot farther aware than I originally thought. But also just like giving myself the opportunity to learn and just play more with that with the Grand Central, because I also am working on a film that I want to like completely edit. So build my portfolio, because I'm gonna use some of these visual effects, the things I've learned since I started the film, and put it into this film that I want to come out within the next year and a half. Hopefully, I'll be able to launch a trailer so you guys can really see it. I'm really excited to just push myself to start the just do it stage of my life. I'm not a sports person, so quoting Nike, I've said before, was weird for me, but it's kind of like, oh, it's very easy to have all these thoughts and be like, oh, I can't do something because of a setback. Like, you can't see it because I cut it out of the frame because it looks sloppy, but like I had an idea for something to like, but it won't work because unfortunately my ceiling is not strong enough to handle what I wanted it to. So the only way I can fix that is by getting something else that I'm hoping I might still have that I just am too lazy to assemble, but it has a high weight capacity because the curtains are really heavy, and I want to put like 3 curtains on one rod just so that way I can change the backdrop so you know by visual where we're at. Because I have the curtains ready, I just want to make sure that I have everything that I need. Because there's only one more thing that I'm willing to pay for this setup for you guys, and it's a sign. But I want to make sure that I'm doing things before the sign's here, and we can like celebrate the fact that I've been doing it and like I'm executing this now new vision I have for just myself on and all these platforms. I also this is a podcast on radio. I mentioned Frog Time Radio, but I want to do more marketing because I think marketing is where I lack, and I went back to school because I want to push myself to learn. And these are just like things that I know if I could just start doing them and rather than thinking about doing these things will help me overall. And that's kind of what I want you guys to take away is just like if you're thinking about doing something but you're getting lost in the thinking part of spiel, then just give yourself a breath and then figure out how to execute rather than just think about it. Because me and my friend were talking about the fact that we want to do these things, we keep getting all these tools, but the tools are just things that will help us down the line. They're not the things that will help us be better storytellers. They're not the things that will let us practice. So we get more used to being on camera or get more used to being in front of people. I want to definitely dive more into just reaching out to people to do like interviews on my podcast, just because mental health is a huge thing, and like in the arts, it's especially a big thing. And I have people that I want to reach out to just see if I can get somebody in on a regular basis, just so that way. Something that I want to have see more in the world is like collaboration to have a like towards a common like peace for everybody in the world, because a lot of times the way that we view life is not the way that everybody views life, and instead of looking at other people as enemies, we should really figure out how can we all coexist, and kind of like rings that overlap each other. Like you have your rings that are outside, but then you have the middle ring, which is us coexisting together. And I think that that's a realistic version of the world, where we have parts that only certain people get, and then we have parts that we have overlapping, and that overlapping is humanity, because it's not controlled. And the more that we release that our feeling of control, I think the more power we have in ourselves, because we're not lying to ourselves, trying to convince ourselves that we are more secure than we actually are, which is a huge thing for me, is that I'm doing things to make sure that I'm ready and prepared to just tackle the next stage of my life. And I'm hoping you guys will follow me. Like, I'm going to redo my YouTube channel so it's easier to see my new content and so you can see the change, as well as make it easier for you to find these other channels, because I also have all the tools ready for another channel I want to launch that's kind of a commentary slash reacting channel. More about learning, like the what I call it is kind of like, it's strange to me the things happening in the world and everybody blaming like television and like books and like storytelling for these issues, whereas a lot of morality that I learned are from these creative pieces, because a lot of things that fables teach us is just like the flaws of not doing right by others, and how that being selfish or like, well, 'cause sometimes it's different kind of fables, like can lead to you being worse off or the world being worse off because of your choices. And so that channel is going to launch with me reacting. I'm going to call it a versus reaction because it's me watching Charmed, to show that I love, back to back with the reboot of Charmed, which is a hot piece. You guys can do your own research. I might talk about it in these reacting episodes. It's just, if you know, you know that that's a hot piece of like info, but I don't want to say, oh, one's better than the other. They're different stages of the world, and they definitely have different things that they're fighting for. But I want to do like a reaction, like where I finally spend the time, because I think I'm one of the few people who are fans of Charmed, who has actually spent the time watching both shows, and I think I've seen almost all but the last season, which is funny because I've seen the majority of the last season of Charmed, but I know because it's a disc I never owned, because somebody else had borrowed it and then it was scratched to the point that it couldn't be read, that there are episodes of the last seasons of Charmed that I still have not seen. So it's kind of like, oh, we'll like explore new things. Of course, the reboot only lasted 4 seasons on the original 8, and I'm not gonna be sad about that because once we dive back and just being fully Charmed, the original, I'll have more fun because I can celebrate with my favorite episode of Charmed without the new one. We'll get to it, but it's just something that I'm telling you guys that I'm working on launching because I think it will be a lot of fun. I think that having a comparison, I even like have a bit that I want to do where it's like I really don't want to judge one over the other. It's just what show wins this episode, because while I love the original, there are episodes of Charmed that drive me crazy and are cringeworthy that I don't know how they're made, and it just drives me crazy that they exist. And then there are other shows people have a problem with that I think are the best thing they've ever done. Because something that I love that they did in the original show that they don't do as so much in the new one is magic is very selfish, which is already, I'm telling you, new one more selfish than the original because they hold to the credence of what Wicca is more in the original, which is like harm none, do what ye will. So like you can't do magic for personal gain, but the witches in the original one have a lot more like interaction with everyday people. They don't just exist within themselves or their own problems. They have lives, and then they meet people who are magical who need help. So sometimes it feels more of like a mystery or like a detective show because it's like there are people that need our help, and we're figuring out how we can utilize our skills to assist them. Sometimes that leads to betterment. Sometimes it leads to worse things. But it's all about like having an open mind and trying to approach things with like the best intention forward first. And that's what I love about the show. But the reboot has a lot of I'm gonna leave it because I don't want to give too much away. But it's just something that I have a lot to say about both shows, and that's why I'm gonna leave that in. But we're gonna ignore the fact that timer just went off. So sorry about that, everyone. I'm gonna make sure there are no other timers gonna scare us to death on this episode. But yeah, that's a personal timer because I love playing video games. But it's kind of like instead of focus, like here's the thing, moving away from Charmed. Something else for myself that I'm doing is just limiting my intake of entertainment. And like there are apps that I use on the day to day that are check-in, but like if I don't set like timers, I will constantly be like, maybe I should play again, maybe I should play again. Whereas I'm like, no, we're gonna set it down, and then we're gonna give ourselves this amount of time before checking in again, no matter what else is happening. So that way, we're not like focusing and like having a phone in front of our face all day. And it's just like same thing with games is like I have an addictive personality, and I know that now. I've known that for a while, but I didn't realize how bad it was. And so something that I'm trying to do is just make sure that accept that that's part of myself, and then limiting myself so that that's something that exists for me, but I can do it like but be more constructive with my approach to it. And that's just something that's better just to do in life is like, oh, I really like this thing, and I get completely trapped in it. And if I don't like tell myself to stop, I'll do it for weeks at a time. And doing that one thing for weeks at a time keeps you from doing the things that you need to do, which is what's been a problem for me. Like Baldur's Gate was a huge problem for me. I could not stop until I finished that game. And then my friend gifted me Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I've been playing that. I'm at 60 hours. I think it's a great game, but you really have to like the culture that they're teaching you about. Because I used to play Assassin's Creed, and I liked it a lot more when it was like we have the history, but we also have like what's going on with the game I played was Brotherhood, so there was definitely a lot more stuff involved in like the real world because it kind of had like a matrixy feel. But instead of going to a made up world, like Assassin's Creed is like you're descended from these people who used to be like part of the Creed, and so you're using like a matrix to go back and relive their moments to like for truths that are essential to real life today. And that's the only thing so far that I think that they're missing, but maybe that'll change. I haven't gone far enough. But 60 hours to not have any of it seems like it's probably not going to have that part of it in the show. Something that I'm going to comment about already that I think is ridiculous as time goes on is I don't think that we need to have a subscription to every single thing in our life. Like, it bothers me that they're making it harder and harder to buy things. We're like, I understand, like, if you do, like, it's harder to like bulk make things because then people aren't paying for them. But it bothers me that they're like the solution is we're just gonna make everything subscription. You can't like buy things for yourself. And the reason that's an issue that everyone hasn't acknowledged is what happens when the power's out and there is no internet. How are you going to watch that stuff? Especially if you have a generator or if you have if you're willing to use up the battery life on your laptop to watch a movie. How are you going to watch that movie if you don't own the physical media? And that's something that I wish, because I know it's not as popular as it used to be, that I wish that they would just have a solution of being like, hey, you can buy this. Just you have to ask, like you have to Google, be like, hey, where can I buy this show? And then you pay that fee, and then they send the show to you to own. But you're still paying for the media. It's just I just don't like that we're relying on the internet so much because the internet can go away. Some of us can't afford internet, especially because it's getting more and more expensive. So there's some months where I need it, and like right now I'm in school, so I don't have it's an essential thing for me right now. But it is something that I will cut out of my life because I have a phone that I don't need the internet. But with school, I kind of have to have it. But that's something that I'm like, I wish that they would just make it so we can own stories that we love. Because sometimes when you're going on like apps and you're like scrolling through all these shows, it feels very much like wasted time. Because like especially if you know what you want to watch, and you're like, can we just put this on? I don't need to like scroll forever to watch something that if you just let me own, I could put it right in. For instance, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm not a huge fan of the way Netflix writes its like shows and the way that most of it is like made on their platform. But there is once in a while shows that I think are good, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll watch this one show, and then I won't watch again until that new season comes out. For instance, I haven't owned Netflix in a very long time, and I know they're going in their last season of Stranger Things. If they don't come out, because like you have to pay for a month subscription to watch Stranger Things, so then I'm like, okay, well, guess what? I'm gonna watch Stranger Things, probably however long that takes, and then after that, if they can't get me to enjoy any of their shows in the month that I have free after I've watched Stranger Things, then I probably am not going to use Netflix ever again because there's no reason for me to pay for something if I don't enjoy what they have on the platform. Um, it's the same reason why I don't pay for Disney Plus. It's because I like things. Some things I like on Disney, but I don't love rewatching Disney movies. Like I own the ones I really like, and then I'll put those on. But I don't. I don't like rose-colored glasses used for the world, and so Disney's hard for me to pay for because I'd rather know that not everything's going to be safe or if some things are going to be more gritty. They're changing it somewhat, so that might change in the future, but like it's just like I like a realistic approach to storytelling. I don't like hiding things for if you like for in the sake of art. Like art is made to be observed by the way the artist created it and then you choosing the parts that you like or what resonates with you. If you don't want to see things, that's your choice, but like I don't like limiting artist, if that makes sense. Maybe it's because I'm a creator and that's how I feel. But this is my this is turned into like the deepest of deep check-ins, and me launching more into like things that are true to who I am as a person. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I also want to dive further into like D&D. It's not something I've ever talked about before. I mean, I have talked about it, but it's not something I've ever like dived into really. But I have an idea for like my own campaign I want to do, and I'm really excited about it. And so I want to spend time actually developing it so I can share it with friends, and maybe once I've shared with them, talk to you guys about it, about how it went. And that's mostly because, again, I want to stretch the muscles I use to create stories. And I think that that's a good like thing to want to do, because I have Dropout. If you don't have Dropout and you love comedy and you love D&D, if you love just enjoying yourself, highly recommend Dropout. Not an all what do you call it, an advertisement, just something I genuinely enjoy and brings me happiness. Is Dropout, the app. Dimension 20 is the D&D show on it. That's why I brought it up. But it's just sometimes if I'm working or I'm like if I'm driving, I'll turn it on in the background just to be like using my creative side of my brain, or I bought something and I realized it had Bluetooth and I was like, oh, I can play things in the background while I'm working on stuff with my Bluetooth device rather than having it playing on my phone. I don't know why I use that voice. I just Dimension 20 use voices a lot for your characters, and it just brought it out of me. It's also Sunday, and Sunday is when I usually gather with my friends that I have gone back and forth between being there and D&D sessions, but I'm really like enjoying it overall in my life. And then it's just, I think it's good to like exercise the creative part of your brain, and also I doing it with other people so you can see the creative brain when it has a team behind it and how that creates a really vivid world for yourself. And that's just something that I had a lot for myself that has, I think, dampened. It hasn't gone away. It's just dampened how powerful it is in my mind, and I want to bring it back to where it was and then beyond. And then it's 2025, and I've been working on a story for a long time, and I just want to focus in on it, dedicate the time it needs, do the things that I think are essential for my life that might help me down the line if I give the power of time to it. Because when you're not getting paid, you sacrifice a lot of time with the hope of profit or some kind of thing coming back to you later down the line. It's what you have to do with a lot of things that you launch, especially if you're trying to like create things for yourself, especially if you want to be an author. It's a lot of time that you hope gets paid back down the line. But I'm not being afraid of it, and I think that's where I've been. I wanted to start executing the things that I want in life. That has been the check-in for the penultimate episode of Show Up with Cameron Gran. I know there will be one more of like this. I have an episode that may or may not be part of this season. That's an interview. I haven't decided, but it may have to wait till next season. So be tuned. I do have an interview that I've done, but I'm figuring out where I want to release it at. So stay tuned for that. And then, as always, as we wrap up this show, feel free to like, subscribe. Your comments mean the world to me. I love responding to them. I appreciate it. If you're watching this on a podcast platform, if you leave a review, I know that it does something. It pushes this to more people, and just it does a lot. And any kind of effort on your part, I appreciate it because it really does mean a lot to me. So with that, thank you so much. And when you go throughout your life this week, always, as I have been saying, don't forget to show up for yourself because you matter.